News. I'm your host, Ariana Wright.
And I'm Megan Gibson.
Tonight we have some exciting news stories lined up for you, so make sure you stay tuned.
Our first stories are some new developments in the Middle East and North Africa. Let's go to our field reporter, Alina Mitchell.
We're here in the Middle East where the powerful Islamic forces have been stopped by Charles the Hammer at the Battle of Tours. It has been confirmed that this is, in fact, the end of Islamic expansion into Europe. Greater achievements in fields such as astronomy, medicine, and new techniques in wells have been developed in the Middle Eastern city of Baghdad, the center of innovation. The Muslims may have been stopped in Europe, but they've been successfully expanding into northern Africa. More on this story at 10. Back to the studio.
Now we have an interview with Sultan Saladin.
Hi, I'm Alina Mitchell here with the first Sultan of Egypt, Sultan Saladin. Sultan, your most notable accomplishment is your victory at the Battle of Hattin. Can you tell us about this?
Well, the European Crusaders came into our empire to fight, and we were luckily able to defeat them and reconquer the Holy Lands of Jerusalem.
Fascinating. Can you tell us about the Third Crusade?
Well, it was led by the Islamic rival on the European side, King Richard I. I was unfortunately unable to lead Dar al-Islam to a victory. Europe took much of the Holy Lands, but I was able to negotiate with King Richard to continue Muslim rule in Jerusalem.
That's wonderful. Thank you for joining us today.
Next, we are going to visit Western Europe, where I will be reporting live from Charlemagne's coronation, and later we will have an interview with the new emperor. I'm Ariana Wright, here with AEA News. Today we are about to witness the coronation of Emperor Charlemagne. Let's take a look.
Do you, Charlemagne, swear to rule justly and always follow the light of God in your rule?
I do.
I now crown you Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire.
You saw it here first, folks. Emperor Charlemagne is officially the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire.
In other news, Pope Urban has called for a crusade, a holy war, to take back Jerusalem from the Muslim Turks. While the crusades did lead to many deaths and lootings of cities, they did have some positive outcomes. Because of the crusades, connections with the Middle East have led to global trade. The western part of Europe has also gained medicinal knowledge, among other things. Open trade routes can also lead to openings for disease. Will the Middle East be introduced to a new sickness, or will Europe? More on this story at 10.
Hi, I'm Ariana Wright, here with newly crowned Emperor Charlemagne. Emperor, tell us about your plans for the Frankish kingdom.
Well, I would like to conquer the Saxons and make my kingdom even more Christian-based.
That's amazing. Now I know that you want to expand Europe. Are there any regions in mind?
Well, I would like to conquer all of Western Europe and expand even possibly into Eastern Europe.
I've heard that education is very important to you. Why is this?
Well, education is very important to me because I believe if my citizens are literate and educated, they will build a more prosperous kingdom for us and have better lives for themselves.
This was Ariana Wright with Emperor Charlemagne. Thank you, Emperor.
Hi, I'm Megan. We're here in sub-Saharan Africa in Cameroon, where we believe the Bantu people originated. The Bantu people most likely began migrating in the early 3000s BCE. They most likely migrated in small groups, and they contributed agricultural achievements as they went that led to the increase in population since there was a surplus of food. While they migrated, they also spread diseases like malaria to the areas they migrated to. The Indian Ocean played a large role in the economic growth of Africa. Its location on the Swahili coast made it easily accessible to sea trade routes to South Asia, East Asia, and into the Middle East and Europe through the Red Sea. Popular goods traded included ivory, salt, gold, slaves, and extravagant items like rhinoceros horns and tortoise shells. These sea routes made the Swahili coast a booming trade center that connected and expanded Afro-Eurasia. Originally, Bantu speakers were monotheistic but practiced ancestor veneration, in which they believed that their ancestors guided over them after death. Then, in the 12th century, Christianity became the main religion in Africa and expanded into Ethiopian Christianity, which was a mix of normal Christianity and ancestor veneration and other practices that were normal at the time. It is still practiced today.
Hi, I'm Ariana Wright, here with Channel AEA News. Welcome to our newest segment, First-Hand News. Today, we will be reviewing some new commentary from Ibn Battuta about Mali society. It says, After the chief of the poets mounts the steps of the Pempai and lays his head first on the Sultan's right shoulder, and then on his lips, speaking all the while in their tongue, and finally he comes down again. I was told that this practice is a very old custom amongst them prior to the introduction of Islam, and that they have kept it up. This shows how Islam is incorporated into everyday Mali life and shows how Mali is affected by this new religion. Thank you for watching our new segment. I'm Ariana Wright with Channel AEA News.
Hi, I'm Ariana Wright, and I'm here on the Silk Roads. These Silk Roads have just been revitalized by the Mongols. One of the most traded things on these Silk Roads is gunpowder. Gunpowder was first used as fireworks and now is being used as weaponry. Another key thing being traded on these Silk Roads is disease. This disease is known as the bubonic plague and originated from the Mongols and is now spreading throughout all of Afro-Eurasia.
Constantinople has fallen. The Seljuk Turks have defeated the Byzantine forces at the Battle of Manzikert. Since then, the Turks have gained more and more land in Asia Minor. In other news, a world traveler named Ibn Battuta has been traveling throughout the Islamic world. Ibn Battuta's travelogue has made him legend with historians and others, as his notes provide the best snapshot into this time. Not surprisingly, the Middle East has made even more achievements in fields such as mathematics, specifically algebra, banking, and art. Geometric and floral designs have taken over the Islamic art world. This has been Alina Mitchell for Channel AEA News.
Hi, I'm Megan and I'm here with Ibn Battuta, world traveler. Ibn, you've traveled all throughout the Islamic world and your accounts have made you quite popular with the people. What has inspired you?
I have always been curious about the world that we live in, so it's very nice to know that other people care too.
Great. And where do you plan on traveling next after you just got back from Cairo?
First, I'll go to Jerusalem and then I'll make my way to Mecca and later Medina.
What inspires you to go to Medina?
I am going to be fulfilling the Hajj on my pillar of Islamic faith. My religion is very important to me, so I'm very blessed to be able to travel across the Islamic Empire.
Thank you so much, Ibn.
Welcome back to Western Europe. The War of the Roses, or the 100 Years' War, went on from 1337 to 1453 between the English and the French. However, this time the tables were turned. It was the English who invaded France. However, the only thing they gained seemed to be the port of Calais, and not much else. Effects of this war was a strong sense of nationalism developing in both countries, along with the spreading use of gunpowder. Say goodbye to the longbow because the cannon just rolled in. In other news, feudalism has been rising to the top. This system includes a social ladder with the king at the top, then lords, vassals, knights, and serfs. It's a system of mutually beneficial obligations and relationships. This system is spreading throughout Europe. Breaking news! The bubonic plague has spread through Europe and has killed 1/3 of the population. This is the worst epidemic the world has seen to date. It seems that there is no cure, and many people believe that the only explanation can be God's wrath. This plague seems to be spreading through fleas on rats that are coming into the region through trade routes, both land and sea, from the east. I'm Alina Mitchell for Channel AEA News.
Are you tired of being the worst at plowing? Are you not getting any work done? Introducing the horse collar. With this new device, you can yoke multiple teams of horses together to plow your fields twice as much in half the time.
Hi, I'm Megan with AEA News, and we're here in sub-Saharan Africa. Mansa Musa was a religious leader who was the grandnephew of Sundiata. He is most famous for his pilgrimage to Mecca, in which he brought thousands of soldiers and slaves, hundreds of camels, and brought so much gold that he caused inflation in the area. He is also known for his religious centers that he built in Timbuktu, making it a center of learning for the Muslim world. Timbuktu is a city in Mali which is best known as a prosperous trade city and a center of learning in Muslim studies and astronomy, math, among other things. Its location made it perfect to trade with East Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. Bananas were introduced to the Bantu people after they had already been farming yams, but it was much more nutrient rich and could grow in many more conditions. It also caused a food surplus, which led to a population increase. Camels were introduced to the sub-Saharan Africa from the Arabian Peninsula, and they were quickly harnessed as pack animals because they could cross deserts easily, didn't need much water, and they could go long periods of time carrying heavy loads.
Hi, I'm here on the Grand Canal, and the Grand Canal is just down there. The Grand Canal links the southern rice fields to the more populated cities in the north, just like Hangzhou. One of the most traded products on the Grand Canal is champa rice. Champa rice helps farmers grow more each year and yields a bigger harvest. It's very nutritious as well. Another important thing that's sweeping throughout East Asia is Neo-Confucianism. One of the most iconic symbols of Neo-Confucianism is foot binding, where a young girl's feet are binded together to show her status in the society.
I'm ready for my husband. Not with those feet you aren't. What do you mean? Your feet are too big. No man is gonna want to marry you with size 8s. You have to be a size 4. What? What's wrong?
You're cutting my foot in half.
Yeah, but don't you want to be confined to your house?
No.
Well, that's the only way you're gonna get married. See, now you're ready for marriage, and you can show that you're rich.
One similarity between Western Europe and the Middle East is that they both use their religion as the main aspect of social and political affairs. In Western Europe, it was Christianity, mainly Catholicism, and in the Middle East, it was Islam. One difference between the two is that when Western Europe faced a period of feudalism, the Middle East remained the same with its centralized government format ruling over many people with one leader. One similarity between East Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa is that they both used an agricultural innovation to increase population. In East Asia, they used champa rice, and in Sub-Saharan Africa, they used bananas. One difference between the two is that Sub-Saharan Africa originally used kinship groups to govern themselves, which were groups of 20 to 30, while East Asia was a centralized government usually ruled by an emperor. Hi, welcome to our Changes in Continuity segment. First, in Sub-Saharan Africa, the change is that we went from kinship-based groups of around 20 to 30 where families govern themselves to hierarchical governments with a political leader over an extended portion of people. And our continuity was that women's roles in Africa have always been above women in other areas. In Bantu tribes, women had just as many freedoms and rights as men, and when Islam came to Africa, women in Africa did not have to veil and had more freedoms among other men than women in the Middle East.
In East Asia, a change is that Confucianism is now being revived as Neo-Confucianism. This is the blending of Buddhism and Confucian values. A continuity is that education has always had an important role in East Asia. This is apparent in the scholar gentry and the civil service exam.
One change in Western Europe is that we went from empires to feudalism with small manors ruled by lords. One continuity is that Christianity has always been an important aspect of everyone's lives in Western Europe.
In the Middle East, a change is that women's role in Islam has decreased quite a bit from what we've seen in the past. A continuity is that Islam has always played a very important role in the region, just like Christianity in Western Europe.
This has been Changes and Continuities.
Hello, and welcome to Map Review. I'm your host, Alina Mitchell. In today's news show, we covered 4 main regions. We began in the Middle East and North Africa, where we visited Baghdad, the Islamic Center of Innovation. We then went to Sub-Saharan Africa, where we visited Timbuktu. This is a city that is the center of trade and learning for this region. We then went to Western Europe and East Asia, where we visited Hangzhou. This is the center of trade for this region. Thank you for joining us in Map Review.
Thank you for joining us for Afro-Eurasian News.
We hope you enjoyed and maybe even learned something.
Bye!